Um, things are bad. Things are real bad, and I'm not gonna mince words. I'm not gonna try and act as if things are not really bad. Um, this was always going to be expected post Abramovich. See, like there are a few things I want to say here, so I'm not going to just systematically break things down. Abramovich. So there's this notion that Abramovich pretty much sets the precedent for what is happening here. This is the reality. Abramovich's way of doing things was wrong. It was a mad strategy, but it worked. Because if Abramovich was still in charge, Chelsea would probably find a way of winning a trophy. But the way in which he was doing things, that's not how you run a club. Because if you want sustainability, you want to have long term success, you have to build for that long term success. You can't be as trigger happy as Abramovich was. So, but the thing is that for whatever reason, it worked for Abramovich. It worked. The thing worked. So even if you would go 2, 3 years without winning something, because he just had a knack of knowing when to fire, when to hire, and he actually had a understanding of football that our dear friend Todd Boehly doesn't have. He was always going to have a good chance of finding a way of winning a trophy for one season or another one. But the issue is there's no real sustained success based on his model that was more about short-term success rather than long-term success. So, but the thing was, people say, okay, Abraham, he put this in motion and he set things off. Who knew that Homeboy was going to invade Ukraine? No one knew that. No one knew he was going to invade Ukraine. So it came out of nowhere. And the moment I knew that and I knew about the links, I was like, okay, the party's over. The good times are done now. Because Chelsea are now going into um, not so forth new ground, but different ground. Because you could maybe compare it to how it was pre-Brown. Now, it's going to be different because I was working for Saudi Arabian ownership or an owner who has an understanding of football. But it was what it was. Came Todd Boehly, and I had my fears. And the fears have been realized. It took a while before Arsenal got to where they was because we all know of the bad blood that was had between the Cronkies and the Arsenal fans as AFTV showed us. Liverpool fans still complain about FSG. Bro, Glazers have been kicked out. So when you look at the history of American ownership of EPL clubs, it's a bad track record. As I said, it took a while before the Cronkies even got to this position here. Despite Liverpool's success, Liverpool fans still hate FSG. Arsenal fans still are not fans of the Cronkies. We already know about the issue with the Glazers. So the track record ain't great. Now, you can't just lump one person with everyone, and you can't just have a stereotypical view of a certain person because you have to take people as how they are. I don't want people to view me as a stereotypical Nigerian because I'm not like most Nigerians. So that's fair. So the proof is always in the pudding. The reality is the reality. Todd Boehly does not understand football. He doesn't. Neither do the Glazers, neither do the Kronkers, neither do FSG. They don't. Sheikh Mansour does, the Qatari group does, and Abram did. So what you can hope for, which I think is what the Kronkers have done, is you hire the right people and you delegate. The issue with look, there's so many ways to go with this, but look, the issue with Chelsea now is a plan is needed. A specific strategic plan is needed. Now, maybe there's already a plan, we don't know, but a plan is needed. Beyond just a plan, a philosophy needs to be forged. It needs to be built. And that philosophy comes from the manager. So the key question here, and this is the key question, and this is the question people are not asking, is Potter the right man? You see, it may seem like an easy question, but if you really think about the question, I think it's a very key thing, because the issue is people just want to assume things because, it's like whenever someone buys a player, you just feel you need to support the player. You just feel to make a welcome to Man United, welcome to Chelsea, dot, dot, dot video. You just feel that you have to accept. So there's this feeling that you just have to accept Potts because, he's hard. Okay, cool. He did it with Brighton. He must be the guy. But is he the guy? Now, I don't know. Yes or no, we don't know. No one can see the future. In 3-4 years' time, Chelsea could be winning leagues, UCL semis, winning UCLs, and be amongst the most consistently successful teams in the Premier League in 4 or 5 years' time. That could very much happen. Who knows? This could be a revival of Arsenal under Arteta. Who knows? No one can see the future, but that is a very key question. And it's a hard question to answer because no one can see what will happen 2, 3, 4 years down the line. Give him time. Give him time. Everyone deserves time. Because you have to understand the angle I'm coming at here. This isn't Potter's fault. This is not Potter's fault. So, coming in thinking that Potter is going to solve the madness that Brown produced, because see, this is the key thing. There are three parties here, like the three-headed horse. Abramovich, Boehly, Potter. So you have Abramovich, who had a very mad scientist, weird, psychotic way of doing things that led to success. So of course it was successful, but the means by which he got to that success was crazy. But because you looked at the end and all people care about is the end, you didn't really care about the means. But the issue is that once you now take that away, you have to now deal with the mess that now exists. So now Boehly now takes over. But Boehly isn't a mad scientist that Abramovich is. But Boehly now has taken over this weird environment that Abramovich has constructed of hire, fire, hire, fire, hire, fire. But if you're firing, coaches A's players are mixed with coaches B's players are mixed with coaches C's players. So it's crazy. So as long as Abramovich is there and he wins trophies, you can't say anything. So it's like, if you win a trophy, you can't say, man, I know you won a trophy, but the way you're hiring and firing doesn't make any sense because it'll just mess teams up. We won a trophy. See, if you don't win trophies, you can attack. But if you win trophies, so it's weird. It was almost the best and worst thing that happened for Bram is that his crazy way of doing things won trophies. Because if he didn't win trophies, then he'd be forced to change and his feet would be forced to be held to the fire. But because he won, you can't say anything if he won. It's not how you should win because it's going to affect the club in the long term, but they won. So Boehly has now take this over. And what you now have is this mad way of doing things. And craziness. And the person that suffers the most is Potter. Because Potter is now coming in where, things are now different and we're now trying to now change the way that you manage the club, which is not how Bram did. But you have to sort out the mess. So the best way of doing things, the best way of moving forward is there needs to be an aggressive rebuild. An aggressive rebuild. And I think this is the point that people are missing because people just say rebuild. Rebuild. No. Focus on that word. Rebuild. And I mean from the bottom up because of how Abramovich ran the club. Because of how he ran the club and how he created this amalgamation of different managers' philosophies. Whoever takes over, you've got to just wipe everything out. Wipe the slates clean. Start from the bottom up and literally pretty much create a whole new team. As you're creating a whole new team, the manager you have in charge must be critical in the forging of that new team. Which is when we now come to the key thing. And that key question. Is Potter the right man? Because now it's very important. Because if you're now going into a new era now, And the new era of you have to now look at what is happening with Arteta, with Pep, with Klopp. But Arteta is a great example because because that's a rebuild that seems to be successful. At every point in time is Arteta, what do you want? Arteta, what do you want? Because Arteta says, I have a vision for how I want my team to play. This is how I want my team to play. These are the players that we need. It's going to take a time, but this is how I want us to now see what's up, and this is how I want us to roll. And the Arteta Potter thing, it's key. Forget Klopp, forget Pep, it's Arteta and Potter. Because guys say, if you give Potter time, it can be with what Arteta has achieved. Life doesn't work that way. That is far too simplistic. That is a far too binary way of viewing things. But put that to one side. Arteta and Potter are different. Same question. Is Potter the right man? I'm shocked that Arteta did this. Hold my hands up. I said to many Arsenal fans, the guy that's picked out water bottles for Pep, no managerial experience. He's not managed a single team. Zero experience. With what Arsenal need, you are getting a guy with no managerial experience, all because he was in close proximity to Pep. I think it worked now. Potter would make sense because he's coached in the Premier League and he's actually done well coaching a team in the Premier League, punching above their weights. But remember when a guy punched above their weight and went to a bigger club? David Moyes, hello. I still think he should have had a summer. But again, life, just like football, 1 + 1 does not always equal 2. Hey, look at how well he did with a small club. Look at how much they punch above their weight. Imagine if he goes to a bigger club with better players, how much better he will do. It doesn't work like that. Because that is a simplistic way of viewing things. It's far more complex. Arteta and Potter. This is the key difference here. Arteta coming in to Arsenal has a different mindset than Potter coming into Chelsea. Because Arteta coming into Arsenal, I know I have no experience. I have worked with Pep for several years, and the level of excellence has rubbed off on me. So because I'm in such close proximity in how to create an excellent machine that obliterates the opposition over 38 games, if I go into a new club, I want that standard. Because all I know is working under Pep Guardiola, who is this perfectionist. So I am looking for, in my version though, because I'm not Pep, but I'm looking at my own specific version of perfection. Because of my experience on working next to Pep. Potter, it's different. It's Brighton. So he's coming into this Chelsea mindset with the Brighton mindset. So he doesn't have an experience of winning. He has no experience of being part of a team that knows what it means to win and to have an extremely high level of excellence and perfection. He has no experience of that. His only experience is having a team punching above their weights. But having a team punching above their weights isn't the same as winning trophies on a consistent basis for Chelsea. So Arteta coming into Arsenal, despite his lack of experience, which is what I attacked him for, he was still coming in with the mindset of, I'm looking for perfection. I'm looking for excellence. Because I have experience of excellence. So I would be very much more in a more confident state if Chelsea had a manager who had experience of winning, who had experience of success. When Fergie went to United, he was successful with Aberdeen. He was successful with Aberdeen, so he had success there already. When Pep first came into Barcelona, it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things. He's a Barca boy, Catalan through and through. It's very much a risk getting him to take over Rijkaard, who definitely had a lot more experience than he did and so forth. Remember, Rijkaard was the coach of the Netherlands before he was the coach of Barcelona, so I was like, okay, this is risky. But it worked out. But that was just one of those risks that pay off, and they don't always pay off. Pep, that's like a once in a generation kind of a managerial hire that works out to this degree. So go back to the original question. is Potter the right man for this job? Let me throw it a different angle. As a Chelsea fan, what do you want? What do you want? Because now we're asking the real questions. What do you want as a Chelsea fan? Do you want a competitive team, plays good football, and just competes? Okay. Or do you want Chelsea to maintain what the foundation of Bram laid down, which is Chelsea speak fluent trophy and aggressively try to go to win the league and aggressively chase to try to win the UCL, which is what Bram built? I want the latter. Call me spoiled. Call me ungrateful. I want the latter. I have no time for like a 7th, 8th-year rebuild. No. I see. It's important to be honest, because if you're honest, it makes things simpler. And I think if we lived in a world where we were a lot more honest, things would be a lot more simple in this world. The reason why things are so difficult in this world is that people are not honest with one another. I'm honest. I am spoilt. Bram spoilt me. I knew what Chelsea were pre-Bram. And I still love that, because even if Chelsea were not winning as much as they did during the Bram era, bro, the football was sexy. The football was money. The football was money. So fine, we're not winning trophies. I'm tuning in every day watching some of my favorite players play. And that's my entertainment. Because I think the notion here, and I think what Potter, I think that there might be a split. Because I look on social media, I know Twitter is a microcosm of the real world, but I do feel, and I do feel there's confidence in whether it's a split or whether it's a 70-30 or it's an 80-20 or 64-40. I think that there is a divide between fans who are like, we are backing Potter, whatever the case, and we're happy with the long process because we will now build. I'm willing to give you time for 4 or 5 years to really slowly build something. And then the other guys are like, we're spoiled. Chelsea are a winning team. And if there's money to be spent, spend it on a team that can compete. And get a manager who really wants this team to compete and to aggressively win. Now, people will say that, come on, man, have a bit more mature. You got to take time. These things take time. These things take time. Like, it is unrealistic to now demand success after Bram has left. You can say that, but when you spend 300 mil on I don't know what, he says yourself, because if there's no money to be spent, it is what it is. Your hands are tied. But if there is money to be spent and 300 mil has been spent, but you want me to wait, it doesn't compute. It doesn't compute. Because I remember that summer that what's his name? Ranieri spent all that money, Crespo, Duff, all those dudes, and then he didn't win. Brown was like, okay, get out of here, Mourinho, what's up? Come in. Because Brown was like, I need to hire a manager that can win. And that manager coming in knows that you must win. I don't know who said it. I think it was Tuchel. So I think it was Tuchel who said that in today's day and age, no one has any time. No one has any time. You are required to win, and you're required to find ways to win. And for Tuchel, even if I admit that he needed to be sacked, you could see Tuchel demanded more from his players because he knew that, no, you need to win. Winning is important because when you are of a manager of a certain club, you need to win. Moyes knew that, okay, this isn't Everton anymore. We need to win. But there seems to be this notion that, Potter, it's fine. Because body language is important. I'm not a guy who says you must shout to prove something. No. But body language is the science of life. It's the science of human beings. And the body language of Potter is, I know whatever happens, I have time. And I know that no one can blame me for this. So it is a weird situation where like, yeah, Potter, no one can blame you. But so is this just vibes? Is it just, oh no, win, lose or draw, we'll drop points because this is a 2, 3, 4 year process. So whatever happens, yeah, it's vibes. So it's vibes. It's vibes. The original question, and then I'll end on this. Is Potter the right man to take Chelsea forward? If you were to ask, again, as I said again, we don't know the future, but if you were to ask me this now, like right now, I would say no. I would say no. You can count on one hand the amount of English managers who've actually been so successful, and you may say that, oh well, but for me, I speak on facts. An English manager has never won the Premier League. An English manager has never won the Champions League as the Champions League, because I know the Liverpool legend guy. No, he did his thing, man. But a Liverpool manager, man, an English manager has never won. Sorry, Bill Shankly. I think it's Bill Shankly. It's Bill Shankly. Oh no, Bob Paisley. I think it's Shankly and Paisley. I think Paisley is the one who won the UCLs. I don't know, Liverpool fans, is it Paisley or Shankly? I think it's Paisley. So, I don't know everybody, but as of right now, of this era, there's not a single English manager you can call world class. There's not a single one. And Potter did great with Brighton, but as we saw with Moyes was, I think Everton qualified for the UCL under Moyes back then. So Moyes was amazing for Everton, but this is the key thing. All because Moyes was amazing for Everton doesn't mean he would have been amazing for United, even though I still believe he deserved a summer. All because Potter's amazing for Brighton doesn't mean he'll be amazing for Chelsea, and even more so, Potter deserves even more time than Moyes gave him. But my thing though is, I don't think, for me, I remember the hire. I was like, United, how are you going for David Moyes? There are other guys there. Mourinho's there who even wanted the role. How are you going for Moyes? And I knew that this is a Scottish thing. Fergie just wanted a fellow Scotsman and so forth. But everyone knew that Moyes, okay, Fergie's doing the whole Scottish thing. With Potter, great with what he's done for Brighton. Is he the man to take over for Chelsea and lead them forward? Again, we don't know what the future holds. But if you're asking me as of right now, I'm going to say no. As of right now. But again, when Arteta was hired, I said no. But look at where he is now. So in 2, 3, 4 seasons' time, I could be wrong. Potter could be that right dude. But I'll definitely end it with this. Let's see how the season goes. Let's see how the season goes. Because all I'm saying is, if the results keep getting worse, if the performance keep getting worse, and if Mason Quarter, because it's here because of a quarter, that's why he is. If Mason Quarter keeps dropping disaster classes along with Shai Havertz and so forth, what happens then? What happens then? Hit the subscribe button over there, guys. Hit the subscribe button and check out the other videos over there, man. One love.